Welcome back, everybody. And I'm excited to have my featured guest this evening, Kerney Lane from Golfbreaks. I'll tell you a little bit about him, and then we'll get into our discussion this evening. Kerney is a key leader at Golfbreaks, one of the world's largest and most respected golf travel companies, with a deep expertise in organizing bespoke golf tours to the UK, Ireland, and beyond. Kerney helps thousands of golfers annually navigate to some of the international tee times, luxury lodging, and of course, local logistics. So, Kerney, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I apologize for stumbling on a word or two there, but we'll fix
It's
that in
okay.
the edit. So I wanted to ask you first off. So obviously you deal a lot with the international travel, so you obviously have a lot of experience there. And what I want to get now is I want to get into sort of seasonal planning, is sort of the theme we're going to start with right here. So you got a lot of last minute spring and fall planning for those that are maybe interested in that. And obviously we've passed the fall, but we're coming into some last minute spring. People have to start booking for their spring. And now, because you're dealing with overseas, you're actually probably looking at not 2026, you're looking at 2027 and beyond. So for those looking to tee off a little sooner rather than later, what last minute spring deals are still available in the US and Caribbean? And why is now the perfect time to start looking for those trips, even in the fall? Because you got to look ahead, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly that. So I think a huge thing that we push to all of our clients is time frame. That's going to be very a direct reason for cost. So obviously you have a lot of the southern states for the winter months, like Florida. Obviously is a great place to be at this very moment. Right when like the spring comes, so like April, May, even start of June. Obviously those types of places become less and less desirable to the average Joe. So that's when we usually say, hey, go to Orlando, go to Tampa, go to Miami. I think those are great spots that are leaning towards the off season, which is when you're going to get the best price. Obviously, it's not going to be overly busy. Availability is there, which is great. So those are kind of the main. I'd say Florida is a huge one for like the spring, late spring, early summer.
Yep.
Myrtle Beach, as I'm sure a lot of people know, is obviously the golf capital of the world. Has lots of great golf courses, lots of availability when you get kind of later in the season. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Caribbean wise, pretty much the price breaks right when like May hits. So if anyone's thinking, hey, I want to take this one last trip, or I want to take some time off before the summer months, that's where I would go. You get all inclusive resorts. It's gonna start. I don't think it really gets hot there, in my opinion, until you get to June or so. So
Right.
yeah, April, May is when I would go and take that kind of trip, and obviously get a great price for it.
Well, and also too, what's really nice about having somebody like Golfbreaks to help you out. And I'm going to share some information with the audience about Golfbreaks and about the partnership that we have with Golf Tips Magazine, which of course I run and operate. But I'll tell you about that in a second. But I want to get back to the Caribbean. What's really nice about it, and having somebody like Golfbreaks sort of help you manage your travel, is you guys know the best times to go. That's going to be cost effective for people. And then also you guys know where some of the better, and I mean, they're all good places to go, but there's some that are going to be really, really busy. So maybe you might want to avoid them at certain times of the year. And there's some others, maybe newer properties that are coming online that you want to really, get people excited about going to see for the first time, perhaps. And so there's a lot of things like that. You mentioned about May is a great time for travel break. So as we are starting to work through into our spring, and May's just around the corner, you want to start shifting to sort of the peak low season pricing. So tell us a little bit about that. Why is May such a good time, and where are some hot places? I don't mean hot as in physically hot, but hot as in travel destinations, especially those golfing, that May is a good place to start looking at.
Yeah, yeah. So in terms of how we operate, so we get contracted discounted rates. So that's how we get you a better price, what you'd find going direct. So we can see when these rates change. Sometimes it is going to be just based off occupancy. Most of the time it's going to be based off of when their seasonality is. A really popular destination, like you mentioned, is going to be St. George, Utah. I have a lot of people going there this year. That seemed to be the up and coming place. They've now hosted two PGA Tour events. They've hosted LPGA events there. So yeah, that's where I'd recommend going. In terms of availability, it's not the greatest for the next 2 months, but that's something that for the groups of like, 8 or 12 or
Sure.
greater to start planning for next year. I think that's a great destination. Again, April, May is a beautiful time to go. I've been fortunate enough to go myself, and that's when I think it's the sweet spot to go. They do have summer rates that are really, really good. They have really good discounts off golf in the summer. Obviously, it's the desert out there, so it does get pretty hot. But yeah, I would say that's a very popular destination. And then obviously, like I said, the Florida destinations, South Carolina is obviously a great golf destination with Hilton Head, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, a lot of options. So yeah, that's where I'd recommend.
Yeah, and again, you obviously want to pick the times and the places accordingly, because again, you don't want to be midsummer necessarily in Florida, because it's
Yeah,
hotter than Hades down here. So you want to try to pick on the cusp of the season before it changes over, so that you still got some good spring weather. It's warm enough to get out there and really enjoy the weather, but it's not so hot that it's not pleasant, especially when you get into South Florida. So you want to
sure.
pick and choose that. Same thing with the Caribbean. I mean, obviously you're getting closer to the equator, and you got to be careful of that. So there's certain times of the year that are going to be peak, and there's going to be some times where you can kind of get again on the cusp of that and really get some good price deals. So that's why somebody like Golfbreaks that gets that advanced notification of when the prices are going to be scaling back down again and when the changes are coming, you can advise your clients and so forth. So that's always a good deal and good partnership. I want to talk about, you guys have upcoming I believe it may active now, as a partnership with Bridgestone, sales promotion that you guys coming up. You're partnering with them this month. And I believe there's a deal going on now until the end of the month, March 31st. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So we have a great partnership with Bridgestone. We've had it for many years now. They do a lot of great stuff with us. I love Bridgestone golf balls. I think they're some of the best in the game. So what we're doing is, if you book a golf trip with a minimum of two golfers, you get a $150 gift certificate to Bridgestone. If you book with 3 or 4 golfers, you then get a $300 gift card to Bridgestone. That's the equivalent of 6, 7 dozen golf balls. You can get a new golf bag. They say that the average golfer uses about 6 dozen golf balls a year. So again, it's a year's supply of golf balls by just booking one trip.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's a huge promotion. Personally, what I've used it a lot for is, obviously I have groups that travel every single year. Obviously a lot of groups, they like to play games or like to have some type of competition. Winner gets 6 dozen golf balls. I think that's just an easy prize. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I think it's a great promotion. And again, like I said, those golf balls are not cheap by any means. They're very nice, and a lot of people on the tour use them. So I think that's a pretty valuable prize in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's again, what's great is when you have a company like Golfbreaks that's partnering with major companies like Bridgestone Golf and get access to the products like that, and then being able to then turn around and offer a special perk like this. Even it's a limited time, but again, for those that want to start booking and getting out there and playing some golf, I mean, yeah, you get 6 dozen golf balls. They're not cheap.
Yeah.
And I don't care whose they are, but Bridgestone's a good quality brand. So you got a lot of advantages doing that. And again, that's available. They want to go to your website, obviously, to take advantage of that. So we'll lead them to that a little bit later on. But we'll remind everybody again about the deadline and some of the great offers in that. Let's talk about summer golf. We are heading there. So north versus south when it comes to the summer golf. What's the, I guess, best strategy for choosing between the lush northern product like Michigan and the incredible off-season, value that you find in some of the warmer destinations? So you touched a little bit about the south. Let's hit up north. Where are some good destinations that people need to be looking at?
Yeah, Michigan's obviously, in my opinion, kind of a little bit not so much marketed, or people don't really know a lot about it. You have great resorts, Boeing Resort, you have the Highlands at Bay Harbor, you have Treetops. Obviously, those are all great value places. Obviously, great for the summer, beautiful up there in Michigan during the summer.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have places like Whistling Straits, obviously an iconic destination. I just booked someone recently going to playing Whistling Straits 2 times in a weekend in late June. So there's still availability out there, which is surprising. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous up there. That there's high end golf. Obviously, like you mentioned, Florida is kind of like not the most pleasant place to play July 1st through 30th, obviously, or most of the summer, I should say.
Yeah, I can.
So that's where I would promote. Take a trip up north. I've been fortunate enough to go up there play a lot of courses, and it's just honestly some of the most fun golf I've ever played, and just so beautiful. So definitely up there. In terms of like, pricing, I think it's pretty fair. The ones in Michigan, Treetops is a great value destination. Boeing is another great, like, they're not charging an arm and a leg for golf. I think it's really fairly priced relative to other places in the country. So yeah.
And what's really nice is, again, the summers up north. I mean, there's certainly, you can get in some hot areas, especially you get close to around areas like Illinois, where Chicago can get pretty steamy in the summer. But you get up in Michigan, that you're around a lot of the lakes and water bodies of water that kind of keep things a little bit cooler than some of the other areas in the region. And so it makes it look nice, and it makes it for a nice trip, not just for those that want to play golf. Maybe if you're going to take if it's a couple that wants to book it, maybe she doesn't play golf as much, or maybe doesn't want to play at all. There's a lot of other activities to do, but she can take advantage of a great package deal that you guys can put together. What I wanted to get you to talk a little bit about is really, when we're going to talk about international here in a moment. So that's a whole different beast when it comes to booking, because you've got to book well in advance. But for somebody that's looking to go to somewhere like Michigan or some of these other areas that we've touched on so far, when should they be reaching out to you guys at Golfbreaks to get the biggest advantage and make sure that they're not going to miss the boat, so to speak? Because again, timing is everything. So if they're planning on going, say, July, August, sometime up to Michigan, obviously the sooner the better. But what's sort of the cutoff? When do they really need to make sure that they're getting in touch with you guys to get something going?
Yeah, great question. That's the name of the game, honestly. Availability. Obviously, ever since COVID, golf has been insane. So obviously, the sooner the better is the easy answer. If the dates are fixed, I would say 6-8 months in advance to get the tee times that you want. Like I said, I booked someone at Whistling Straits 2 times in a weekend. That pretty much came down to the guest being very flexible with timing and saying, "Hey, I just need a weekend in late June," and I reach out and see what they can do. But yeah, I would say in those types of places, it's 6-8 months in advance, because obviously those types of courses aren't open all year round.
Sure.
And so they when they close the tee sheets or whatever in October, people start booking trips and it starts getting pretty full, pretty far in advance. So yeah, that's what I would say. But yeah, I still think there's opportunity at each of those resorts I mentioned this summer. So I'm not trying to say, hey, this summer is gone. Like I said, it's available. But yeah, I'd say if you're looking for morning tee times so you can enjoy the day, like you said, sometimes some of these trips, they have golfers, they have non-golfers. You want other stuff to do. You have beautiful lakes nearby that you can enjoy. You want those morning tee times. I'd say, yeah, 6 to 8 months is your sweet spot.
Yeah. And what's nice is, again, going up somewhere like Michigan, there is a lot of things that got a lot of outdoor, like, great activities besides the golf to do. So again, it's a great couples retreat, or, maybe even two couples. Maybe you got a good friend or a relative or something, and
Yeah.
you want to do a couple of things. They got wine tours, they got all kinds of things. So it's not just all about golf. Obviously, we want to, help people get into some good golfing, but there's other activities there too, and a lot of great resorts all over the place. So let's now dip our toes in the sand, as it were, in international long-term planning. So we're talking primarily UK and Ireland are obviously the hot spots. You got the 2027 Ryder Cup at Adair Manor quickly approaching. So obviously those are filling up fast. Why are you sort of already advertising? This is what people don't understand, is you're already advertising and promoting, getting people ready for that trip, and that's a year away. Why are you doing that? Let people understand why they need to be reaching out to you now.
Yeah, it just depends. Obviously, people have bucket list courses. People hear about these courses. People, example, Adair Manor. People know from either tournaments, majors, or just people's bucket list courses. The average golfer wants to play two, three, four, five of them when they're over there for a week long. That's definitely possible, but in order to get all those, you have to do it a year and a half in advance. We are fortunate enough to have partnerships with these types of clubs for 20, 25 years now. So a lot of them give us,
Absolutely.
access that some people would not have access to. We get to be on the books before the public obviously has the access to do so. So with those kind of benefits, obviously there's a reason that we are so successful with sending people over there for so many years now. But yeah, if the average golfer wants one, maybe two, world class golf courses, then yeah, we could probably book about a year in advance. But people want to play all of them. They're going all the way over there. They're traveling distance. You go places like the Scottish Highlands or the southwest of Ireland. It's not easy to get there, so they want to hit all the big hitters. Yeah, you gotta do it sooner rather than later, or you're not going to get the opportunity to put them all in the itinerary within a week span.
Yeah. So if you want to, again, if you want to go and, forget temporarily the Ryder Cup, obviously that's a big draw to go over there. But if you just want to go over and enjoy, some different golf than what really what you're experiencing here in the United States, you got to start getting motivated right now to start looking at that, because again, you're looking at probably on average a year out to book the trip, because they are so popular. And as you pointed out, I mean, since the pandemic has ended a few years ago, golf has really had a big uptick, and people are looking for something new and exciting. And they want to say, okay, I've played some local courses here, I've been here and there in the United States, but I'm looking for something, a different experience, to see a different culture and whatnot. And obviously, going to UK and Ireland are some of the biggest draws over there. What I want to ask you too, and I think this is important for us to really discuss a little bit, is sort of the customer service aspect, because it's great to book the trips and things like that. But a lot of people, especially, and I'm mainly talking, I mean, any trip, but really talking about the overseas, what sort of, arrangement do you make with them? One, you're not just booking the trip and that's it, have a good time. If they run into any particular issues and that, they have a contact or some way of communicating through you guys to make sure that if there's some issues that need to be addressed, you guys can step in with those partners and say, okay, can we accommodate them, or there's been an issue or something like that. You guys are able to do that, because that's a big thing I hear with people going, well, I'd like to go over, but what happens when I get over there and I run into a snag with my reservations or what? How do you guys step in, and what's the procedure?
Yeah, great question. That's honestly one of our biggest pluses, I think, of or benefits of using golf breaks. Like you said, you're not out there way over across the world on your own. Obviously, whenever you inquire with golf breaks, you have an agent like myself who
Yep.
obviously takes you step by step through the entire process. All of us have been over there, understand what to expect, can also give suggestions based on our own prior experiences.
Sure.
But in terms of like, yeah, what we can do. So obviously, you have an agent, you have a person that's there who stepped the trip for you. That obviously is not there on site, but you have someone who knows what they've booked for you pretty much. So that's the first thing. We have partnerships with each of these venues, so they are very familiar with golf breaks. So that also helps a lot. They jump for hoops for us in order for people's trips. If there is pretend an issue, that's something that obviously is helpful. And then we have our own client service team. We have a team that works 24 hours a day, working towards either pre, during, or post issues if that ever does occur. So there's definitely someone there to help. So yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. If you pretend book this by yourself and you go and do it, if something's an issue, that's really up to
On
you and
you.
on you. And yeah, there's nothing really else to do. And you don't have a partnership with the venue, so they're not going to jump through hoops for you if there were hoops to jump through. So I think that's a huge plus. We obviously send thousands and thousands of golfers, so we have a lot of repetition in doing this. A lot of times I've had clients that have played golf with each other on a tee time, just by coincidence. So just a lot of great venues that we work with. So I'm confident when I send people over that they're gonna have a great experience, just because of the places we partner with,
Mhm.
and the amount of people that have went over there. And then after your trip, we give you a call. We say, hey, how'd it go? What was the feedback that you had? Positive, negative, we want to hear it all, just so that we can, continue to do this partnership correctly with them, or can adjust somewhere along the lines to make this a better experience going forward. So yeah, I think it's a full circle, which is what we are really, really good at in terms of from initial contact until the end or after the trip.
Yeah, and it's really all about repeat business too. You want people to come back to golf breaks and say, I had a great experience. Or, if I did have a little hiccup here and there, they stepped right in and resolved it quickly in that. So they're happy again. They're over there, they're having a good time. And now they come back and they're saying, I want to go and do this again, maybe in a couple of years. Maybe my wife and I are going to go over and we're going to, go to St. Andrews, or we're going to do something along that lines, or maybe go to Ireland or what have you. So now they've got a partnership in a sense with you, and they're
Yeah.
able to know that if there is a little mishap here and there, which happens. I mean, it happens with the best of them. Then they know that, okay, they can count on you guys to, do what you need to do to be able to resolve that for them. So that gives them a lot of confidence, because again, especially going overseas, you're talking a much larger dollar range, if you will. So that's a big hit for people to take. And obviously most people are going to afford it, but if this is a once in a lifetime trip for somebody, they want to know that they've got a good partner to deal with. And again, it's not to knock some of the independent guys out there, but when you've got a sort of a one man show, it's a little bit different, and they don't have the same connections that you do, perhaps, and it makes it a little bit harder for if there is something that goes awry. So that's really important issue to get across. So as I was mentioning, sort of the top of our discussion, Golf Breaks last year. Of course, we've been doing some work with you guys for a little bit, trying to promote you guys as best we can. And one of the things that we did last year through Golf Tips Magazine was developed a partnership with Golf Breaks, where our premium membership, if people join golftipsmag.com and become a premium member, whether it's silver, gold, or platinum, they will get a discount, appropriate discount based on the membership level they have towards some of the different products and packages that you may have to offer. So I want to invite people for now, if you're looking to plan a golf trip, it's a very, very simple process. Go to golftipsmag.com, sign up for one of our premium memberships. You'll get access to some special discounts already in the pike through Golf Breaks, and it's very, very economical. The packages are very, very well done. And also the memberships through Golf Tips Mag are very, very affordable as well. And they're just an annual membership. Lots of other great perks that go along with it, but Golf Breaks is one of them. We're very excited to partner with you guys in that. So for those of you looking to book some trips for 2026 or even beyond, you want to come to golftipsmag.com and join our premium membership, silver, gold, or platinum, and get some exclusive perks only being offered to us through Golf Breaks. So you want to check that out. More details are on the website. So what I want to get into right now is, you mentioned that you travel a lot, and again, that's important to be able to see some of the properties that you're promoting and that. When you go, what are some of the things besides obviously some great golf? And again, you're a little bit younger than I am, so your interests are going to be different than mine. But what are some of the things that when you go, especially when you're going overseas, are you looking to experience besides just great golf? Like, you want to obviously experience the culture and things like that. Probably have a few pints when you're over there, I'm sure. But are you also looking at other activities for yourself? And the reason why I'm asking that is, again, the more insight that you have into these trips that you can then relay to potential, clients that want to book through you guys, the benefit is. So when you're going on these trips, do you try to take in as much as possible or learn as much as you can while you're over there, so that when you come back, you can say, hey, I went and did this, had a great time. This might be something that might be of interest to you. Give us a scoop on that.
Yeah, that's great. And exactly what you said, these are golf trips, but there's so much more to do. I think a huge part, and what clients usually tell me is, what do you recommend we do? And I'm personally a very big foodie. So I love different types of food. I'm open to a lot of different types. If I had never had something, I'm very willing to try it. So I think that's something that every country that I've been to is offered. And I've been to the Caribbean, I've been to Spain, I've been to Portugal, I've been to the UK. So I just think food's awesome. So there's a lot of great food places, especially in places that are very rural and whatnot. So yeah, do that. But yeah, I also really enjoy, honestly, just enjoying the scenery. The golf, and I've said this. I've had clients that say, "Hey, my wife's coming. She kind of golfs, she kind of doesn't. But is this beginner golf or is this able?" And like 100%, these are links golf courses. They are for all types of people who are
Different level.
scratch golfers or high handicaps. That's kind of how they're set up, honestly. There are difficult courses, but I enjoy the scenery. You're walking the golf course. You get to really enjoy the countryside of Ireland. That's one of the Cliffs of Moher. Everyone wants to go see the Cliffs of Moher. If you go to Old Head, I think those cliffs are a little bit more impressive, in my opinion, just because they're so crazy and dramatic. So yeah, I enjoy, honestly, the golf because a lot of those courses over in the UK are walking, and that's a way to enjoy the nature and the scenery. So, and then outside of that, there's some great resorts in all the different hubs that have a lot of great things. I went to the Penalonga, that's just in Portugal, outside of Lisbon. Absolutely stunning property. It's a wellness center that has a huge spa. You're in the mountains. There's an adult area with like a pool and everything. There's a regular kids area. So a lot of these resorts are high end resorts because they're on golf courses that are world renowned, or they're legit. So they want to have the similar product as well in the accommodations. So yeah, 100%.
So if you were speaking to somebody, a brand new client, and they said, I really don't know that much about over there, and they said, what would you recommend? What would be a really good experience? And I'm not going to give you a specific dollar amount, but let's say they give you a budget of, whatever that happens to be, and you're going to work within that budget. What are you going to try to put together for them, as far as things to do? Obviously some good golf in there, and maybe they're not a high end, or maybe not necessarily a low end, but somewhere in the middle. So let's say a middle budget potential client. So that gives you a little bit of the price range I'm talking about. just to help you out a little bit.
Yeah.
If you were going to put a package together and say, if you're going to go over, this is your first time overseas to be able to really experience, where are you going to send them and why are you going to send them?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's a lot of ways, honestly, to attack it. I've been doing this for a number of years, so I have a couple ideas. But what I would first say is, first time over there, what I typically do, and again, we ask a ton of questions to get an idea of what they're looking for, and then that's where we can kind of step in and give some suggestions just based
Sure.
off of that. There's hundreds of courses in each of the different countries.
Of course.
But to answer your question, I would say if someone's like, "Hey, I want to go over there, play some links golf," middle of the budget, nothing crazy. What I'd probably say is let's go to Edinburgh. I think it's a really super accessible flight, really easy to get there, lots of stuff to do other than golf, like you've mentioned.
Yeah.
It's a historical town, and in East Lothian, about 20, 30 minutes away, there's a number of courses that are all Scottish links golf courses that are on the coast that are gorgeous. Some of them are higher end. You have Muirfield,
Sure.
you have North Berwick. Those are high end, world renowned golf courses that you have access to. You can also go on the lower end where you go, Gillane number 2, which is I think is a hidden gem, is what we call Dunbar. These are Scottish links golf courses that you're not going to find anywhere else in the world, that do not break the bank. That are going to be once in a lifetime opportunities to go play. I've had a number of clients come back and accept the trips and say that was a trip of a lifetime, and they went and played those hidden gems. That's all they had. And I think that's what I'd recommend doing. Being near a city, it's just easy in terms of just logistics, transportation, getting to and from places. I usually start there, and then people come back and say, "Hey, I want to do this again in 2 years or whatnot." And then that's when I say, "All right, then let's go start hitting some big hitters. Let's go out to the Scottish Highlands where it's harder to get to, or the Southwest, or whatnot." So that's where it's let's get our feet wet, like you said, and
Right.
then once if you want to go over again, let's step it up a little bit and go to places that are a little bit harder to get to. But now that you know what to expect,
Yeah.
you can obviously have a great trip another time.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart, really, some smart advice to give them, because I think when people go over to a place that they're not familiar with, they don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere and kind of think, okay, well, where do I go? What do I do? They're unsure of themselves. So they want to be near a big metropolis, let's say, like in Edinburgh or something, which is not maybe as big as some of the big cities here, but it's big enough that they feel confident, comfortable. There's a lot of things to do. If there's a situation that they need to go and get a hold of somebody, there's plenty of people around. And then as they get more comfortable and a little bit more seasoned, maybe they want to venture out a little bit. So they want to go a little bit more to a course that's not right in the heart of things, and it's maybe a little off the beaten path. So there's different things to do. I want to ask you one other question with respect to sort of the generational gap. So obviously you're a young guy. I'm in my 60s, so I know that I'm guessing, but I'm going to say you're probably late 20s, mid to late 20s, in that range. Okay, so we're close. So there's probably not quite 40, but a good dip in difference in our age group. So obviously, when I'm going over there, I'm probably going to look at and have different interest than maybe what you are. So are you seeing a trend with golfers or travelers like yourself in your age group? Are you seeing a big uptick especially since COVID, in wanting to go into places like that? And what is sort of the difference between, say, my generation going over there, and I'm not talking money, I'm just talking about experiences, and maybe
Sure.
somebody like yourself and your demographic. So we've got a little bit older demographic, a little more seasoned, golfer, that type of thing, and maybe somebody that's newer to the game that wants to go over there. Are you seeing certain trends, and what might be some of them be?
Yeah, that's a great question, honestly. I've never really thought of it that way, honestly. But what I typically get is it's not really age dependent, but if it was, you have the younger crowd wanting to play where the Open was just held, or
Sure.
the courses that people talk about on YouTube videos or whatnot. So you get a lot more of that. Obviously, they see those videos, and sometimes the price point is a crazy amount, and they're saying, "Hey, this is the one trip I want to go, or I'm celebrating my 30th, 40th, or 50th birthday, and it's a group of us." Then yeah, I mean, we can go and do that. The older generation are going to be more so leaning towards, honestly, the more iconic venues. When I say
Sure.
iconic, I mean there's been tournaments there that there was a fantastic ending to, or there's a famous shot,
Or
or
that
they, or
history.
one, yeah, or they've just host the most amount of tournaments or whatnot, and they want to go there because it's one of the oldest courses in the world. So that's kind of the segment, I'd say, if anything. um Another thing is like, to kind of payback on even on your last question was, some people just say, "This is I want to go for one trip. This is my only trip. I'm going to go on this trip. I don't see I'm about to have kids or whatnot. My life's about to change drastically. And I think if I'm going to do some trip, it's going to be now. So that's when people are like, hey, I want to hit all the big ones, but I've never been over there before. So I don't know what to expect, but I want to go the distance. We actually have a service where we have a driver who takes them all over the place. These are people who are born in this country or
Right.
born in Scotland,
Sure.
Ireland, whatever it may be. They know the country like the back of their hand. They handle everything. They're an extension of us. I've sent people on crazy trips for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and they come back and the first thing they talk about is the driver. They don't talk about the courses. They don't talk about the different cities they went to. So that's another thing I think that's really nice and what I would suggest to anyone go in there. If it's within budget, and they're not too expensive, but the larger the group, the better
Sure.
the rate is. But that they do everything for you. They handle everything. They pick you up in the morning. They take you to the places. They check you in. They get you the most efficient way. If you have questions, hey, where should we eat tonight? What should we go do? They can take you there and they can give you suggestions because they know it like the back of their hand.
They have
So,
some local flair.
yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead.
100%. Oh no, I was just gonna say. So yeah, that's what I'd say. So when people of all demographics kind of say, "Hey, this is the one trip," I would say, yeah, get a driver. I think this makes the most amount of sense. You can accomplish the most by doing that. People have come back and said, "I wish we did get a driver because it was a nightmare driving to Waterville out in the middle of nowhere where sheep were on the road and there was
Right.
one lane pretty much for two trucks."
Right.
So yeah, but go back to your original question, also in terms of just trends. I would say, yeah, it's going to be mostly just, what's the most recent famous golf course, which gives you more reason to, hey, we need to book even farther in advance because everyone sees this on TV. Like Royal Birkdale, after this tournament this summer, it's going to go crazy next year.
Oh yeah.
So getting on the tee sheets as soon as possible. But then, you have people who want to go to the old course, which we have access to and stuff like that. So, it's a mixture. But yeah, I would say it's a lot of it. People have similar interests. Also, they just want to play the big hitters, or they just want to go over there for the first time and experience traditional links golf.
Now, the last thing I want to ask you is, and it's not about overseas. I mean, you can throw that in there if you want, but it's about your bookings in general. Golf has seen a big uptick in the last decade or so of particularly young female players coming in, not just at the pro levels, but even just learning to play the game and coming that. Are you noticing a bit of a trend there too, where you're starting to get more girl groups going, where typically it was the guy foursomes and the guy eight players or something going on a big trip? Are you starting to see now, maybe not to the same level, but more young women coming out, or even maybe mature women, but coming out and saying, we're going to go on a girls trip. We're playing golf now. We enjoy this. We want to go. Are you starting to see a trend that way now too?
100%. So yeah, I'm on year 4 with Golfbreaks. I personally have seen a massive trend. I do come from a family of female golfers though, so I have somewhat of a background. But in terms of so Caribbean, you'd be surprised. I think I send personally more couples to the Caribbean than to domestically, obviously, but
Sure.
that's where you can experience the all inclusivity. People golf, enjoy it. Casa de Campo, I think, is the perfect destination for any couple to go to. I've sent 20 women down there, and they said it was the most fun they've ever had. So definitely more women's groups. Also, you have the Solheim Cup that has, in my opinion, gained a lot of interest in women's golf. LPGA Tour, there's some really really good players on that. So yeah, I've definitely seen an uptick. I mean, I have couples that go out and say that it's Ryder Cup style, men versus women, and the
Oh, yeah,
women win every year, is what they
of
say.
course.
So,
Yeah. I
it
believe
definitely,
that.
it definitely has increased, in my experience, and it's fun to see. I mean, it's cool to see on TV, these types of golfers that are playing and they're influencing the entire world. So yeah, I've definitely seen personally an uptick just from sending people for the last 4.5 years.
Yeah, that's what I figured, because I know the National Golf Foundation has talked about this for a number of years now, how they're really one of the fastest growing demographics in golf is particularly young female, not just, again, pursuing professional careers, but collegiate golf and other areas as well. And then just going out and playing because, they've been introduced to the game. Maybe they've got a partner who plays golf and they want to be more involved with them. Or maybe they've got a girls group and somebody's introduced them to the game, and now all of a sudden they want to go and they kind of like it. They've gotten bit. Maybe they've gone to a Top Golf, or they've gone to, one of the other indoor facilities, and they've kind of gotten bitten by the bug, so to speak. Now they want to, transfer that into a little bit more of real golf. And so I just was curious if it was affecting your industry. the other areas of golf. So if people want to get in touch with you guys and want to maybe look at booking their first trip or maybe a repeat trip, what's the best way you can do that? What's the website?
Yeah, so website is golfbreaks.com. It's an amazing, amazing website. There is endless possibilities in there.
Okay.
It's a great destination to see all the different offerings. Obviously, you can give us a call. Our number is on the website. But that's a great way of doing it. Is obviously just looking on the website, getting a feeling of what you want to do. There's pictures and descriptions of each of the different destinations we work with. We sell tournament experiences. We obviously have things overseas. We have things in the Caribbean, things domestically. So it really does a really good job of kind of figuring out what you kind of like. It has some pricing on it to give you an idea of what the ballpark would be for this type of a trip. It's very much date sensitive. So obviously it's
Sure.
different seasons like we talked about earlier, but it gives you a great idea. Then obviously a phone call is what we do to get an idea of exactly what you're looking
Sure.
for, maybe provide some suggestions, and then obviously book a trip. It's really quite simple. If you wanted to, it could take a day's time to get. We have an initial phone call, send over a quote, book it. Your trip is paid. You're good to go. All can happen within 24 hours. It's very simple.
Yeah, it's one of the nice things about, again, dealing with somebody like Golfbreaks is they're able to handle everything for you. And, unless you're really, really experienced as a traveler, I don't recommend booking, especially if you're going overseas and that, because there's a lot of logistically, there's a lot of things that you have to be aware of. And obviously laws are different there. So you have to be aware of certain things and things you have to make sure you have in preparation, especially when you're going to another country and that. So, you want somebody who's very experienced in that and not, taking a risk and saying, yeah, come on guys, go, I'll book the trip. And you get over there and, you're behind bars or something. Anyway, so golfbreaks.com is the website, guys. And as I mentioned earlier, what you want to be able to do is you want to take some advantage of some great deals, become a golftipsmag.com partner. One of our premium partners is Golf Breaks, and we're really excited to have them on board. You can become a premium member, silver, gold, or platinum, and again, take advantage of a lot of great offers that they have. And then also don't forget, let's remind them one more time, a special promotion with Bridgestone. Go ahead and do that, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah. So 1 to 2 golfers, you get a $150 gift card with a book trip by the end of this month. So that's just book. That's not traveling. That's just booking within this month through March 31st. And you get a $150 gift card. If it's 3 or 4 golfers on the trip, you get a total of $300, which is equivalent to 6 dozen golf balls from Bridgestone, or even a golf bag. So yeah.
Sounds good. So go to golfbreaks.com is the website. Well, Kerney, thank you very much for coming on and shedding a little bit more light. And I can tell that you're very passionate and enthusiastic about what you do. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some insight into travel. People I know are excited as the golf season is starting to really open up here in the United States and obviously other areas around the world. We're getting out of that winter thaw here soon and coming into spring and eventually into summer and fall again. People are looking to get out and play some good golf and book a good trip. So that's the best way to do that. So I appreciate you coming on. Hang tight. I want to thank everybody for a great episode tonight. A huge thanks to John Hughes and Pete Buchanan for joining me on the Coach's Corner panel and giving me a coaching masterclass, if you will, to all of the listeners out there. And also a special thanks to Robert Kaufman and Steve Hafes from Catalina Island. Thanks, guys, for doing a great job on the travel segment a little bit earlier. And then, of course, tonight's featured guest, Kerney Lane, for joining us from Golf Breaks and sharing some insight into what they do. We're just getting started with season 14. Make sure you join us next week as we continue to help you play your best golf. And if you want to tune into the broadcast, video version is available on the iGolf Sports Network YouTube channel or on Spotify. And for the audio version, you can listen to Spreaker or Apple Podcasts or really any of your favorite platforms. I'm Ted Odorico, reminding you to keep it in the short grass. And remember, the most important shot in golf is always the next one. We'll see you next Thursday. Thanks, guys.